Today on Through the Eyes of the Trades, we're stepping into the world of lending and finance. So today, with one of the best loan officers in Lexington, family man, real estate investor, and most of all, a mighty man of God, none other than Tim Richardson. So the first question is, what is your position and the title of your career so people understand?
I am a banker at a community bank here in Lexington called HSLC. I've been in the banking business for going on 12 years. Actually, a little longer than that. 16 years, I should say.
Wow.
I don't know where I got that. And I'm currently focused on commercial and residential lending. So I help business owners, real estate investors who have an asset like a piece of real estate or a large piece of equipment that they might want to purchase or refinance. I help with that. And then I also help folks who want to buy a home. I do residential lending as well.
Awesome, Tim. Sounds good. So my next question for you, Tim, is when a small trades business walks into your bank looking for a loan, what are the first things you're looking at?
Well, we like to have a conversation with the owner of the business, kind of hear their story, how long they've been in business, ask simple questions like, what are you looking to accomplish? What do you need? Whether it's a piece of equipment or a piece of real estate or maybe a line of credit, we do that as well. But we'll just sit down and we'll have a conversation. I'll hear big picture as what they are trying to accomplish. And then we see if we can help get them to where they want to go.
Awesome. That sounds good. So, what's the biggest reason small construction businesses get turned down for financing?
Small construction
Mm-hmm.
businesses.
Mm-hmm.
By construction business, do you
Like
mean
like any of the trades. So it can be
a
a
trade business?
trade business.
Why they get
Correct.
turned down?
Correct.
Well, it varies, but a lot of times it has to do with cash flow. Most banks are what's called a cash flow lender, meaning they're going to loan to somebody based on the cash flow from their business. Somebody might have a ton of equity in a house or a piece of equipment or a piece of real estate and think, I have all this equity, I have all this net worth. But if their business isn't cash flowing to service the debt on a piece of real estate or piece of equipment, then it's challenging to get an approval for that. So that's probably the number one reason, cash flow.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense there. So, if someone in the trades wants to start their own company, what should they do early on to make themselves more bankable uh, later?
Yeah, one of the first things they'll want to do is sit down with a commercial banker, a business banker, and have a conversation like this about what it's going to take for me to get a loan sometime in the future. Because typically, new businesses, a bank's going to want to see typically 2 to 3 years of financials,
Gotcha.
at least 2 years worth of tax returns.
Mm-hmm.
And that says to the bank that this person can run a business, they
Right.
can be profitable,
Mm-hmm.
and thus potentially support some debt
Right.
business. So I'd have that conversation with them. I'd remind them that it's probably a good idea to have a personal financial statement,
Right.
be aware of their assets and their liabilities.
Mm.
Now, there are instances where somebody will come in and they'll have a new business,
Mm-hmm.
but they are strong financially,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that they have perhaps other sources of cash flow like
Gotcha.
rental income or some other way where we could get comfortable with, hey, you're just getting started. We realize that you're presenting information to us that's projections.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have a secondary source of income, like it's not unusual for somebody to work in a trade for somebody else and then start their own business on the side.
Right.
So that secondary source of income as they're building their business,
Okay.
that secondary source of income really at this time is their primary source of income.
Makes sense.
And that could be a fallback on, hey, as they grow their business, that secondary source of income can make a bank comfortable with, oh, okay, we'd be open to give you a line of credit because you've got this secondary source of income.
Yeah.
Sometimes somebody will offer, hey, my spouse has W-2 income. They have a full-time job. That's a secondary source of income.
Right.
So
Okay.
that might help a bank get comfortable.
Yeah, that's good. That makes sense. To kind of piggyback on that question, if you can add on to any of that, the next one was, does building a relationship with you or any local bank actually make a difference when it comes to getting approved?
It does, in that you want somebody that you've started to build a relationship with and knows your story.
Gotcha.
So while a relationship is important, at the end of the day, though, the math is the math.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you and I could have a relationship for years and we'd be friendly and buddies, but
Mm-hmm.
we have to go by bank guidelines,
Mm-hmm.
FDIC guidelines in terms of how we approach lending. So we have to be fair
Right.
with everybody.
That makes sense.
So a relationship helps, but at the end of the day, it's going to be about the math and whether or not the business is cash flowing.
Right. It's all about the numbers, making sure they add up, right? Okay. The next one is, what kinds of loans are usually the easiest for like a trade business to get approved for, like equipment, vehicle, lines of credit?
Well, a lot of times, a lot of trade businesses, they'll just go out and they'll get an unsecured line of credit with a credit card.
Gotcha.
That's relatively easy if somebody has a good credit score and a good credit history.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say that one loan is easier than the other if the loan amount is smaller.
Right.
Let's say it's a truck or a piece of moving equipment that's $50,000 to $75,000.
Yes.
That loan payment is going to be smaller than a large piece of real estate
True.
that's worth $500,000 and has a much larger payment.
Right.
So the smaller the loan balance, a lot of times with somebody who's in a trade, that's a lot of times
Okay.
a good loan to start with out of the gate, and then you build up from there.
Okay. Appreciate that. So this is a question that like normal people don't work in the industry like you kind of just wonder maybe is when a loan application gets denied, what usually happens behind the scenes that the like a business owner don't see?
Well, not much is different behind the scenes on an approval or a denial. We collect all the financial information,
Okay.
we underwrite it, and we make a decision about whether or not we pull in credit, get the financial information, all that kind of stuff. And then we make a decision based on the math,
Gotcha.
based on the character of the individual. But in the case of a denial, we will typically communicate that to the customer. And sometimes a denial really is what's best for the customer as they're getting started, because we don't want to put that business owner in a tough spot right out of the gate.
That makes sense.
So what we typically will do is if we offer a denial, we might suggest another bank that might help with SBA lending.
Mm-hmm.
We might use the SBA. Or we might say, in this instance, you might have to use your own capital or get an investor to help
Gotcha.
you. But we'll communicate the denial as respectfully as we can. And, hey, we want to continue this relationship. We're saying maybe no right now, but it doesn't mean we will have to say no in another 6 months or a year, depending on the financial
Right.
situation.
That makes sense. So kind of building a relationship and getting your numbers squared away and
Yeah,
for next time.
build a financial track record that the bank can get comfortable with.
Makes sense. Good.
And a lot of times, and if somebody will say to us, hey, I've got this person who wants to come in as a guarantor
Mm-hmm.
for this loan, that
Right.
happens sometimes, then we'll have to do an evaluation of that potential guarantor's wherewithal
Now,
to repay the debt.
can you explain a guarantor?
Yeah, a guarantor is somebody who essentially you have a borrower
Mm-hmm.
and you have a guarantor.
Okay.
In a business, oftentimes, let's just say ABC Company
Right.
is owned by John Doe and
Right.
Jane Doe.
Right.
John and Jane Doe. They own ABC Company. They're the owners of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be our borrower. The guarantor is going to be John and Jane Doe, who own
Mm-hmm.
the most interest in that company. So a guarantor is essentially just somebody who guarantees the loan is going to be paid.
That makes sense, man. So, any last words of wisdom from Tim to let the people know about trying to start a new business, if it's trades or whatever?
Well, hats off to you if you've been working for somebody else in a trade and you make the decision that, wow, I can do this and keep most of the income. So hats off to you. You know, building a business, I've seen through the years guys start. In fact, there's a young man that comes to my mind right now. He's not more than 25, 26 years old.
Yeah.
And he took some risk and started his own business.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched this guy go. He's been in business longer than I've known him, but I've seen this guy in the last 2 or 3 years really grow his business.
Wow.
And through a combination of building a network
Mm-hmm.
of confidants,
Mm-hmm.
folks who can advise him, folks who can refer for him.
Right.
Networking groups are really common, especially in the building industry. So get involved in a networking group. I would say get a mentor or two.
Okay.
Have a conversation with a good CPA.
Right.
So you need a good CPA in your pocket. You need a good attorney in your pocket.
Yeah.
And you need a good banker.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't hurt to have 2 or 3 or 4 bankers.
Gotcha. Makes
But
sense.
hats off to guys who want to get out and make it on their own. And as you know, Brian, it's about how you treat people.
Right.
And if you treat people well, do them right, provide a service at a fair price, they'll tell a lot of people about you. So don't be afraid to take that risk.
There you guys go. You guys heard it. Don't be afraid. Take that risk. Straight words of wisdom from Tim. So where can they find you at if they ever need you?
Well, I am here in Lexington. We have 2 branches in Lexington. My office is over here off Sir Barton Way in the Hamburg area. So they can come by and see us over here in our branch at, I always forget our address, get my glasses on. It's 24, we just recently moved here. I keep forgetting this address, 2452 Sir Barton Way. And then happy to talk to them on the phone. My direct line is 859-484-7072. And then I can be reached via email at trichardson@hslc.bank. But always happy to have a conversation with guys who are interested in maybe stepping out and starting a business and kind of give them the lay of the land, offer any guidance that I can, whether we do business or not.
There you go. Words of wisdom from Tim. Till next time.